Welcome, preschool families. It's Gisa from Butterfly Garden Preschool. And today, my magic door is open. Let's see who's there. It's Mr. Hermit Crab. Hello. Hi, Mr. Hermit Crab. Thanks for joining us. The story today is about you. Yes, you. Our story today is called, Is This a House for Hermit Crab? It's written by Megan McDonald and illustrated by S D Schindler. Hermit Crab was forever growing too big for the house on his back. It was time to find a new home. He crawled up out of the water, looking for something to hide in, where he would be safe from the prickle-pine fish. He stepped along the shore by the sea, in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a rock. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Turning himself around, Hermit Crab backed his hind legs beneath the rock. The rock would not budge. It was too heavy. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a rusty old tin can. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? When he tried to walk with the can on his back, it bumped and dunked. It was too noisy. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a piece of driftwood. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Hermit Crab crawled deep inside the rounded hollow at one end. It was too dark. So he stepped along the shore, by the sea, in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a small plastic pail. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Climbing up toward the rim, oops, he fell right in. He clawed and he clawed until he climbed back out. It was too deep. So he stepped along the shore, by the sea, in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a nice round hole in the sand. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? He poked his head down into the opening. A huge pair of eyes blinked back at him. Hermit Crab shivered as he scurried away from the big fiddler crab peering out of his burrow. It was too crowded. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a fishing net. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Poking his claws into the heap, he got tangled and caught. Hermit Crab wriggled and wriggled until he found his way out of the net. It had too many holes. So he stepped along the shore, by the sea, in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. All of a sudden, a gigantic wave tossed and tumbled pebbles and sand over Hermit Crab's head. He swirled and whirled with the tide and was washed back out to sea. Sleeker than a shark, the prickle-pine fish darted out from its hiding place in the tall seaweed. Every spine on its back stood straight as a steeple. Mouth wide open, it headed right for Hermit Crab. Hermit Crab raced across the ocean floor. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Scurrying behind the first creature he saw, it was a sea snail, and he hoped it would hide him. But the shell was empty. The shell was empty. Hermit Crab scrambled inside as quick as a flash and clamped his claw over the opening in the shell. The prickle-pine fish circled the snail shell 3 times, but he could not catch sight of the crab he had been chasing. He glided off in search of something else to eat. When all seemed still and quiet, Hermit Crab snuggled comfortably down into his new shell. It was not too heavy, not too noisy, not too dark, and not too deep. It was not too crowded and did not have too many holes. At last, Hermit Crab had found a new home, and it fit just right. I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I did. Thank you, Hermit Crab. Thank you. All right, now, since we've been studying the tide pool creatures, you are going to get to make a little tide pool. I know we made a tide pool model before. This time you're going to get to draw some of your favorite tide pool creatures. And you can either use oil pastels to draw them or crayons. After you draw them, you can take your watercolors and you can use your paintbrush to just paint blue all over. So you paint the water blue, and then you can take some glue. You can cut your paper round. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle because it could just be circular. And then you're going to put some glue all around your water. Can you guess what we're going to put on top of the glue? If you guessed sand, you'd be right. So you're going to put glue all around the circle, the edge of the circle. And then you're going to take a little bit of sand. And if you don't have sand at home, that's okay. You can use a little bit of salt or even a little bit of sugar to give it a little texture. And you're going to just sprinkle it on top. And if you want to paint the glue on or take your finger and just spread the glue, make it a little smoother, might look more like the seashore. I'm doing this quickly, but you can take your time doing it and put as much sand around the edges as you'd like. You can make a little tide pool of your own. Remember, I love seeing your artwork, so please have your parents take a picture and send it to me. You can either email it to me or text it to me or post it on Instagram. Hope you had fun doing this craft and listening to this story. Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos so that you can find out when our next lesson is up. Thank you so much.